So I had this dream a really long time ago that was like a present life and a past life where I think I had tuberculosis and I was slowly dying. And at the time, because it was like ancient times, there wasn't like a good way to treat tuberculosis other than like rest. And I remember very vividly walking through all of these halls to go into this sort of indoor bathhouse that was this very specific, like green hue, like almost like there was a filter from all of the moss and trees and light coming through the top of the building that was this really bizarre green hue. And then along the perimeter of the pool, there were all of these chairs that were made of stone that I was sitting on, wrapped in like this weird toga sort of linen sheet thing. And I was so tired that I couldn't get into the pool, but the idea was that I do get into the pool. And it was super long. It filled up almost the entire room. There was only the structure to walk around it, and it was indoor. It was very steamy, it was very warm, and the idea of me going in there that was that the temperature of the air, the water, all of this would help calm my tuberculosis symptoms. In the dream, though, I knew I was dying, and I knew that this was like a last resort and that I didn't have very much time left. So I was on Instagram today, and I was reading about an archaeological discovery, and I'm not going to say the name of the town right because I don't live there. It's spelled Baia, and this is a town that was built on the perimeter of a volcano that, due to the seismic activity and where it was the coastline, it eventually succumbed to the shifting of that coastline, and now the majority of it is underwater. But there was a time where this place was fucking hopping. It had resorts, it had villas, it had a bunch of rich, famous people living there. And there was something about it that made me think, I feel like I've been there. Like, I feel like I lived here. This all seems very familiar. And I don't know if that is the location of my dream because like, how would you know? You just like get a vibe that you're like, this is maybe a place that I've been. But I feel like that style of town, that location, that coast along the sea, the color of the water, there's just this very deep impression that I have that I'm like, this is where I was sent to die. So I looked up what were some ancient ways to treat people of tuberculosis. So rest, sea voyages, and milk were the top three according to the NIHC. Is that what it is? The medical journal that has free articles that you can read on the internet. That website. And that just seems very fitting to me, that it was the right time period in a similar place like that. And I thought it was really curious. I read the entire Wikipedia, and the statues and the buildings and the environment and just some of the history. It all just sounds like, yeah, I did that. I experienced that. So I still haven't figured out why I am having dreams of past lives in present times and what I'm really supposed to do with the information, especially if it's not something that needs to be healed in the present timeline. Okay, so think of like past life regression therapy like this. You go to your hypnosis. They hypnotize you. You do past life regression therapy. You are taken to a time period in your lineage of existing over the millennia that humans have been alive. You go to a point that your higher self is telling you this needs to be healed because it is affecting you in the present time. But I have had dreams of special powers that I have, places that I've been, people that I've met. And it's interesting because there are two schools of thought on this. One is that you're born without any recollection of these times, because if you did know about them, you would be obsessed with them, and it would be the only thing that you so you would be obsessed with them, and it would be the only thing that you're trying to figure out about your life. What were my connections? Who did I know? Did I know anybody famous? Etc., etc. But the other school of thought is that you need to know this information in order to heal presentations of things in your life that aren't connected to anything that you've experienced in this present life. Now, for me, and the way that I believe in spirituality, not only do I believe in reincarnation, but I believe that you as this person today and 2024 have the ability to access and understand all of the lives that you have ever lived, whether or not they be here on Earth or in any other dimension. Because Earth is not the only dimension that there is life in. It's not the only dimension that humans have ever existed in. I'm sorry, it's just not. And so the access to that information not only tells you how you can heal specific wounds that are causing you specific issues like anxiety or fear of death or fear of spiders, but also it tells you the power that you have to access the authentic expression of who you were designed to be in this lifetime in order to beat the whole capitalistic uniformity bullshit that we're involved in today. So I have a pretty big fear of being sick, and I've had it for a long time. And when I was a kid, like, I definitely have trauma surrounding being sick because my parents, like, literally almost let me die of E. coli. So good for them. And I had a bunch of ear infections as a kid. I was always throwing up as a kid. Like, I had asthma as a kid. Like, I was sick. It was both physical trauma and emotional trauma presenting as illnesses. Plus, I just have really bad ear genetics. So now, as a person, as an adult, I fight with being really, really afraid of being sick and trying to do, like, so many home remedies that I never get sick in the first place. And the last time I had COVID, I was so fucking sick and I couldn't do anything about it. There wasn't enough tea I could drink. There wasn't enough onion honey I could eat. There wasn't enough elderberry syrup in the world that was going to make me feel any different. And I feel like, you know how Saturn comes in and he's like, I'm going to come in and I'm going to teach you this lesson. I feel like it's in relation to my relationship with Saturn, and illness is like a really big piece of that, because Saturn is going to make you learn a lesson in the harshest way possible if you haven't been paying attention to what's going on that the universe is directing you to. And I just feel like all of this is some really big weird circle where I have this past life recollection of dying of tuberculosis in some beautiful island, and then I'm presented the information of having the fucking town Baia, I don't know how you say that, in Italy where I could have been living, and then also being sick so much as a kid and being neglected that it caused these fears in me. Like, it's so a whole circle that I feel like present trauma healing isn't enough, that it also has to be past trauma healing through past life regression as well. Does this make sense? Like, I hope it makes sense, because it makes sense to me. Anyways, that's my weird soapbox for today. Shout out to the creator that posed that question that I did a stitch for, because that really got me thinking about it today as well, even though I did read the entire Wikipedia article. Also, you guys should donate to Wikipedia. I do it. You should do it. It's a free source. It is a really good source. And with AI being everywhere, they said it themselves, we need access to verified information that is genuinely real instead of whatever a robot is telling us. We cannot trust robots. Don't trust the robots. Okay, and thank you, and goodbye.